don't have to do that.
No, you do. I mean, you have to. It's a thing. It's the internet. You're required to.
Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, the Last Scion. Episode, what, 5? Was that where we're at?
5.
Yep.
Sure. I've been saying
The
Lost
Veil
Scion,
of
which is
Time.
apparently not correct.
Oh, it's fine.
All of the episode titles have been changed to reflect that the Scion is the last one, not the lost one.
To be fair, AP, in your defense, I read the episode title as The Veil of Time, which was way more amusing to me. Yeah.
Okay.
You like veal.
Sounds like you're hungry.
You know.
All right.
Man,
So-
I'll give some veal.
Look, I'm front ending this real quick. We're just going to run it down. Kids at home, you're under 18. This thing that's happening right now to all of us, people are going to tell you it's a once in a lifetime event. It'll never happen again. When I was in high school, 9/11. When I was graduating college, complete economic collapse of America and the entire globe. Once in a lifetime event's going to come around once a decade, actually. You need to make a decision. If you want to just be a kid, play some games, get some stuff done, that's perfectly fine. I'm hearing reports of unemployment up to 27 million Americans, which means when you hit the job market, all the people ahead of you are going to be trying to take the jobs that you could be going for. This time could be spent trying to get ahead. What I'm talking about is get a GED, something like that. Maybe take AP prep courses for college. Maybe look into doing vocational school or trade school, which was Rad's suggestion. Whatever it takes, you could just be playing games, or you could be taking 1 to 2 steps ahead of all of your fellows. That's what I have to say, okay?
Yeah.
We're not going to turn this into a 13-minute thing like last time. Sid, I know you're not going to offer any advice here. Pondo, you're out too. James, Atomic, do you have any advice for the kid? Look, I don't know my audience, right? It used to be I was like, all my audience is like 20 and 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds. And then someday someone was like, I'm 16 and I watch Battletech and you've changed my whole life. And I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. So, advice for the kids to get through this. You've all lived through the same shit I have. So,
Yeah.
probably weren't in high school during 9/11, though.
I was in the 3rd grade during 9/11, I think.
Oh, God, I'm so
But I
old.
remember watching it on TV. I'm 27. I'm old in the inside, AP. So going on like there are a lot of guys in like, say, machinists, mechanics, whatever. A lot of those old guys are, I mean, they're getting out of the game. And if you were a kind of person that's willing to put your nose to the grindstone, especially some things like, machinists and other stuff like that, there's people, you make a lot of money operating CNC equipment, like a fuck ton of money.
You're saying like vocational or trade school?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those that they're in very high demand. Manufacturing, I mean, it's not as, there's not as many jobs, but the ones that there are in very high demand, and you can make good money doing it. If, you don't want to do a cubicle job or whatever, I mean, it's something to look into, and you can make, as those old guys, they're leaving and they're taking their experience with them. So, it's never been a better time to go into that kind of thing if that interests you at all. Welders make great money too, if that's a thing that you have any interest in. Stuff like that. I mean, yeah, electricians. I mean, you know, people don't think about those kind of things. So,
Pondo, I apologize.
Underwater
I forgot.
welding, you can make bank.
oh yeah.
I forgot. I thought that you had nothing to add to the conversation on Thursday, but you in fact said don't go into broadcasting, and we even turned that into a 5-minute thing. We're not turning into a 5-minute thing, but Pondo the Mad's motivation for you is don't go into broadcasting. James, for the kids, what do you got? Get them through this.
All right, so let me quickly say that many years ago I used to work in film and television, and often when you had shows about teenagers, they'd be getting adult actors to play teenagers.
Yeah,
the biggest advice they would give...
We lived through the 90s.
Yeah, the biggest advice they would give adult actors when playing a teenager is to treat everything like it's the worst it's ever been. Use terms like, no one will ever find me attractive, or, I'll never feel this way again, because kids don't have perspective. They don't have a multitude of experiences to look at and say, there are highs and there are lows. The mantra that I've learned as an adult, particularly as a parent, is this too shall pass. Is that everything changes in time. You're right. There's been some once in a lifetime events, but they were events. They weren't things that changed the world irrevocably from that point on. Aspects of the world may change because of this, but it will still be the same world, in a period of time. And once again, in a first world economy, 15% unemployment is huge, 20% unemployment is huge, but that's still 80% employment. So that's still 8 in 10 people with work. So as you're right, when you do skill up, it's better to be underemployed or working in a position that you might not find fulfilling during these sorts of crises, rather than staying unemployed. Because when the economy does bounce back and the jobs are there, employers will look more favorably at people that took a hit and went and worked in a terrible situation, rather than sat back and waited for the world to fix itself on their behalf. You asked where people were at in 9/11. During 9/11, I was working I was writing for a women's magazine. It was one of the worst jobs I ever had. And in fact, 9/11 was actually the catalyst that got me into my eventual career path. But it's still the fact that I had that role meant I could get into jobs at the time. So,
okay. Look, I want to cut over to Pun of the Mad. Why did you laugh when James said that? Yeah?
It's hard for me to imagine James as someone writing for a women's magazine, but I understand.
Okay, all right.
So
I feel like that was a little sexist, but I'm gonna let it pass.
It wasn't even.
It's a very quick story. I'll tell you, because it's quite funny. I'm not going to name the magazine because it's a funny story. This magazine was in publication all over the world, and my job at the magazine was to take articles they'd written in other countries and then rework them so they could be published in the Australian version. So there might be a story about a couple of British girls who went to Europe for a holiday and had a bad experience. And I had to take that same story and reword it so it was about a couple of Australian girls going to Bali for a holiday and having the same bad experiences. So that could then be published in the Australian magazine and be relevant to Australian readers. So I wasn't actually creating content. I was regurgitating content.
Yeah, of course.
You're doing localization, essentially.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to, change fish and chips. They were getting brekkie at Brumbies. All right.
Now I want fish and chips. Damn.
You're hungry.
Look, dude, there's always time for fish and chips. I
don't know that that's true. All right, let's go around to true introductions. We managed to seal that part up in less than 8 minutes. So feel proud. We managed to cut in half the discussion. Sid Alpha, I skipped over you during the discussion because last time you tried to zing me on Tabletop Simulator. And now, in my checklist of pre-stream actions, I'm adding invite everybody to the table. Just so we don't have that happen in the future. Sid, what have you had been going on since the time that I last saw you, or the time the audience last heard from you? Just whatever.
I did manage to get a video out this past a few days ago, which makes me feel happy. It also made me realize that because of times being what they are, ad revenue on YouTube has never been worse. I'm actually earning less than $1 per 1,000 views on YouTube right now, which is god awful terrible. Absolutely just horrendous. But that's okay because I have a day job, and thankfully I'm in a particular industry where when things go bad in the world, my industry is largely unaffected. In fact, it's usually a growth spurt when stuff like this happens for us.
You work for Zoom. I understand now.
Yes. The IT industry was, the 2006 stuff was completely unaffected, or the last depression was unaffected, basically. And this current thing with the plague has actually caused our business to increase.
Yeah, decrease. I bet those servers are screaming right now.
Just people needing new stuff. People have to go about things a different way, and they rely on their IT to be able to keep people at work. And that's people are realizing that IT really is the backbone of most businesses, and a lot of companies don't even realize that or comprehend that until scenarios like these happen. So yeah, if there was one industry you wanted to get into, you could try IT. I guarantee you that as far as people trying to get into the industry is concerned, it is vastly oversaturated right now. So you've got to be good, you've got to be smart, you've got to be on the ball to be able to get into it. But if you want a bulletproof job for the way the world is right now, IT would be one of those jobs, definitely.
You're saying that you've got to be tough. You better do what you can.
No.
Okay.
There are times where I'm glad I don't get half AP's references.
I don't give that reference either. So.
It's Michael Jackson's "Beat It."
Like, man,
You know how long it's been since I heard that song?
Yeah, I would say it's not in my normal.
Don't be no macho man.
I heard it Wednesday.
I think the last time I listened to that song was before 9/11 happened.
I think the last time I listened to that song was the last time someone referenced that song.
I guess I could tell you that all of you just need to go beat it. Beat it.
Things have been going all right for me. I was planning on getting a video out today, specifically talking about how they removed de novo from Final Fantasy 12, and in the process, for a short time, they managed to completely break the game. But then I fell back into the trap of Final Fantasy 12 because I forgot how much I enjoyed that game, and that's basically been what I've been doing for the entire day.
So, Sid,
Oh,
would
yeah,
you say
really?
that
Final
de
Fantasy
novo?
12? Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Interesting.
Sid, would you say that de novo is completely useless in every regard and does absolutely nothing but be a pain in the ass to the end user?
I mean, didn't de novo used to just kick a fuck ton of ass like 5 years ago? Wasn't it incredible when
de
it first
novo
came
was
out?
de novo was broken. Like, it was made irrelevant within like weeks of first being deployed.
I
And
mean,
it hasn't
I
been
heard that de
good
novo
since
was incredible and awesome, but
I mean, de novo, as far as DRM goes, de novo is highly adaptive, and it varies. Sometimes they break de novo within a game in a matter of hours. Sometimes it takes weeks. Sometimes it takes months. There are some games with de novo that have been out for well over a year and they still haven't been cracked. So it varies because it is an adaptive system. The thing with de novo is it's fine if it's implemented right, but the problem is,
and therein lies
it's
the problem.
rarely implemented correctly, and
Yeah.
when it's not, it does impact system performance. Then you have situations like with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think I want to say, where you have companies like friggin' Ubisoft that just stack DRM on top of DRM to where when it first came out, it just completely buggered things to where, people who got a pirated version of the game objectively had a better experience because you had de novo and one other DRM on top of Uplay, and it was god awful. But yeah, they removed de novo from it, and I love that game, so I decided to pick it up, and I was going to do a video on it, and then I've between last night and today, I've played for about 10 hours.
Yeah, I can't remember what game it was. It was a game somewhere in the, I guess I'd say the early 2010s or like maybe the late aughts or whatever. But I actually took the pirated version of the game because it had all the DRM stuff removed from it, and then I used my legit CD key to activate it. So it wasn't like I didn't use like a crack. It had all the DRM stripped out of it. Mm-hmm. But I just used my actual. It's just because it was better. I don't remember what game it was. I want to say it was an EA game or something, and it worked. But it was just like I didn't want to. I remember the Odyssey kerfluffle with. It was like It was like 15, 20+% performance hit. It was stupid.
It was more than 20%. I bought Odyssey and I ended up downloading a pirate version just so I could play without the DRM crap because they still got their money from me, so I'm not exactly breaking any law.
Oh there. Yeah, I mean, if
I owned a
legal
copy of the game, but yeah, it was definitely a better version of the game without it. So yeah, that's what's been going on in my life for the past 2 days. That and work, day job stuff, and YouTube being absolute garbage with the ad revenue, which is not surprising. Nobody's going out and shopping and everything. Everyone's staying at home. So advertisers aren't going to advertise as much, and the ads that they do buy are going to be cheaper.
I beg to differ on your not shopping as much, but
that's a man stuck inside. They're trapped in here with him.
No, I'm locked inside and I have phone calls constantly, and I hate it.
You know, AP, I yelled that line to my cat last night. I was trying to help somebody troubleshoot a PC, and he was losing his mind, and I just yelled it at him, and he just stopped and then went and fell asleep.
Yeah, you know. Comic, what do you got?
So, something, well, I mean, not a whole lot's happened since Wednesday, but something that did happen, which James will find very funny, or anybody else. So, James, I got a secondhand Khitan Demon Engine of Khorne, right? Which it's fine. It just needed a little touching up, like, you know, whatever. It was super good together, popped it apart, and it needed some shrimp. Like, whoever put it together didn't clean up the edges and stuff. Nice, whatever. Anyway, the blade I was using to do that with snapped and impaled itself in my thumb, which was great. Probably should have gone and gotten stitches. Khorne cares from not where the blood flows, only that it does. So it's just funny to me that I have cut my thumb open the worst that I've ever done while working on the only model that is Khornate that I've ever owned. And it's just hilarious to me. And my Discord still finds it really fucking funny. And that's about it. That's pretty much all I've done. So good stuff. I mean, it's same old here. It's just I'm stuck at home doing not a whole lot. So I haven't been playing as much Mountain Blade the past couple of days. I did watch for once. Atomic watched something, guys. It's crazy. I finally got around to watching Carnival Row on Prime Video and actually really enjoyed it.
Is that an anime?
No, it's like it's an Amazon original. It's like imagine kind of like Victorian England kind of thing, but it's like with I guess it'd be Victorian, like maybe like
it's Victorian England. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Gaslight.
World War I era. Yeah, but it's like with all your all your like a lot of your fantasy type whatever. So it's pretty good. It's kind of like I would say like kind of like a crime whatever thing, but it's pretty good. It's only 8 episodes the first season, but I enjoyed it. So you know, if you like, I mean, it's definitely obviously it's adult programming, but it's it's pretty good. So you know, you have that and want to give it a watch. It's 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's what's his name who played Legolas. What's his name again?
Orlando Bloom's in it.
Orlando Bloom and Cara Delevingne.
Yeah, there's a couple other. Oh god, I'm trying to think of the. Oh god, the younger is she was in The Tudors, and I'm trying to think of which one of the Henry's wives she played, and I can't think of her name. But
you mean Tamsin Merchant.
Yeah,
she played
Orlando
Bloom's
a big name in it.
Not Catherine. She played one of the. Anyway,
yeah,
the second one that got beheaded.
Yeah.
By 5.
But anyway, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. So if that kind of stuff, like if you enjoyed, like, you know, it's got the violence and the sex from like Game of Thrones kind of thing going on. So if that stuff, if that's your kettle of tea, you know, it's Victorian England with fantasy stuff. So it's pretty good. So I watched all 8 episodes of that in one go. I sat down and started watching it. I just kept rolling. I just sat there and watched all 8 plus hours of it in one go. So
sorry, you wanted us to watch the show, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's good.
Just making sure, because you described it as Game of Thrones.
No, if you enjoyed the like the sex and the violence, if that doesn't bother you, like that's whatever, then you know there's a good chance you enjoy that because there's plenty of sex, violence.
I was trying to make a real cheap joke real quick at the expense of Game of Thrones.
Well, you know, look, there were only 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. It's fun.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, season 4 ended at the end of the Battle of Winterfell, and then everything was great. The whole nation united, the whole world became one.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it was just you also got a fever dream after that episode. It was crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how that happens. It's, you know, but it's pretty good. So if you got Prime, you know, you can watch it. It's pretty good.
Speaking of something that's pretty good, let's talk to Pondo the Man.
Hi, I'm Pondo. I play games and stuff. My week has been relatively not, I don't know what's the word for it. I don't know the words for it, but I hadn't really done much this week except for set up some upright shelving brackets and stuff, so that way you can put up shelves later.
Say that your week has been blasé.
Yeah. Found out that trying to level something while you have a slanted ceiling just fucks with the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because the entire time I was like, this doesn't look level. This can't be level. But the level
do you
says
have
it's
a
true.
leveler? Okay,
Yeah.
good. I mean,
Yeah, don't put up pictures with a level unless you're sure your roof and floor are level. Otherwise, it looks weird.
Yes, that's well, my ceiling is slanted, so it looked terrible, but I just decided to trust the level. I've been informed it's a vaulted ceiling.
Thank you, disembodied voice from the other side of the room.
But besides that, I played slight amount of Doom Eternal to do the challenges for the week, essentially.
Oh yeah, didn't they drop some new season? The new
Series 2, yeah, they dropped it the other week.
I haven't even messed with
Did
it.
you know, Pondo, that the word camera is actually Latin for vaulted room?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, if I need to mess with some like broadcasting people, I'd say vaulted room. I'd be like, what?
yeah,
You
that's
don't
only gonna work
understand
if they
Latin?
speak Latin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dead language. Got anything else going on?
No, I don't. Yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay. James, what do you got?
I would like to see Sid's 10 hours invested into Final Fantasy 12 and raise him 15 hours into Final Fantasy 7 Remake this week for me.
You passed me.
Yeah.
See, I don't
Look,
have
Sid,
a place.
it's
I don't
good,
have
right?
a PlayStation. Otherwise, I would be playing that.
It's good, isn't it? It's real good.
I'm enjoying it, yeah. And I, you know, obviously I played through all of Final Fantasy 7 when it first the original one, the 997 version, but never actually won the final fight. I got it, I'd be unable to beat it, and then thought I'll come back to it later. And was it now?
I don't know what to say to that.
Years later, I haven't.
I beat the whole game 3 times, including Ruby and Emerald weapons. So I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah. So like, I was a different person back then, back in '97.
Yeah.
I was 18.
Look, you're not going to get close to that. You realize the sentence outside of Midgar, right?
I know. Yeah, it's
gonna be 2030 before we get to the end of the game.
Look, I like what they've done by adding in the whispers and the whole sort of concept that where the game varies from the original game is sort of by design.
Yeah,
I think that's a sort of cool element to it. So,
well, I mean,
if you
the other thing that they're bringing in is all the other background lore and everything they've been building with like Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus, all the other Final Fantasy games that they brought out. They're like, all right, look, the people who wrote these games were very stupid and they made bad decisions. We have to figure out a way to make Final Fantasy VII work with all those bad decisions while still being true to the original game. And someone was like, I think we can do it, sir. I have a formula, and that formula is good. And that formula starts with Jesse being like 2 billion% thirstier than the original.
Can I ask you, have you gotten to War Market yet, Arthur?
No, I just got Aerith in my party. Sorry,
Okay.
Aerith in my party,
Aerith,
and I'm wandering around.
So I
still
saw
have yet
at some
to use
point,
Arcane Word. That's how not far
I saw
am.
at some point a screenshot someone posted that was like a picture of Cloud and Aerith standing in front of this sort of really scary looking house. And it was called like the Hell House. It was a caption for it. I thought, okay, there must be some cool scene where they get to explore this haunted house, which is not part of...
No, it's an enemy. Hell House. Yeah.
It's an enemy, yeah.
People love Hell House. You don't remember Hell House?
I don't remember Hell House. No, I don't remember a lot. I remember a lot of the stuff, but I don't remember that, yeah.
Yeah, people love Hell House. It's one of the most popular enemies.
Yeah, it's like fighting Baba Yaga's hut, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Final Fantasy VII had some really interesting, unique enemies for its...
Yeah, that's it. So I've been doing a lot of that. Doing some painting up a Primaris Repulsor and a Imperial Fists Primaris Apothecary. Other than that, I started a fitness challenge this week that was posted to me by one of my vendors. So I've got 70 days to climb 3,160 flights of stairs, which is the equivalent of Mount Everest in height. So I've knocked over about 260 flights so far this week.
It's not terrible.
Yeah,
You're a madman. All right, look.
it's raising money for charity. So
Yeah, okay. James, I have a critical question for you. YouTube's going to want to know. I also want to know. All right? You have to pick from the big four. Yuffie, Barrett, Tifa, Eris. Hit me with it. What's your answer?
okay,
Who
so
are you going on a date with, man?
Yeah, it's it. So it's a tough one because when I played through Final Fantasy VII originally, I was totally on the Aerith bus, and then some things happen in the game. I don't want to spoil a 23-year-old game for people, but it doesn't work out between you and Aerith. And so playing through now this one, I'm on the Tifa wagon at the moment. Yuffie never did it for me, I got to say.
She was way more popular in Japan than she was in the international audience. People were like, "Ooh, ninja, Wutai, we get to do the whole Eastern thing." Turns out everyone else just hated her because she literally stole your materia.
Yeah. Look, there are a lot of people, a lot of fans of the game who are really hopeful that they're going to change what happens with Aerith in the remake.
Nope.
And I really don't think they're going to be
No, I don't want it. Kill that bitch. Just get rid of her.
Really, it's very important for what actually happens in the game. So anyway,
the debug mode has indicated that there was a way to bring Aerith back in the original storyline, like during the beta's storyline before they changed it. That there would be ways to resummon her and shit like that. But then the game writers are just like, nope, hard no. She's out. She's dead. You can't bring her back.
Let's not pick that scab. I'm not crying. You're crying.
Look, I was never in the Aerith crowd, okay? Tifa is the one that looks like she's the bad girl, right? And then it turns out she's the team soccer mom the entire game. She's literally hauling Cloud through his own tragedy, physically lifting him up. And then you get to Aerith and she's just like, ugh, I smoke weed and I drink liquor. I'm a bad girl and I hang out with cool guys with big swords. And then they're like, okay. She's like, but I also live at a church and I wear a very chaste dress. And also, Mom, I'm running away from home. I was always like, man, the way she looks and talks and what she actually does are so far apart. Aerith. I can't handle it.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, we lost Sid. I was going to ask him about his love for Final Fantasy 12.
Which one was the MMO?
11 and 14.
11. Okay, no worries. I played one of those a little bit.
Probably 11. 11 was incredible when it came out.
I think I tried Final Fantasy. I started with 7, and I think I played 8 when it first came out, and then realized it wasn't 7, and then never played Final Fantasy again until I tried the MMO, because I tried every MMO.
I gotta tell you, it would be incredible if they re-release 8 in the same way that they re-release 7R. I would be blown away. It would work with the way that they do the game so well. I would also play every card game in existence once again.
Well, Sid's back, so you can ask a question now.
Sid, what's with you in Final Fantasy 12? Like, I'm not saying it was a bad game, but out of all the Final Fantasies, I felt that it was like the most bland and neutral one.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay, interesting. What is it, like the ability to buy hats using experience points?
You haven't played Final Fantasy 13, have you?
I played Final Fantasy 13. Listen, I played Final Fantasy 13 when it came out on Steam. I was live streaming it. I got 6 hours in and I uninstalled it.
There you go.
Yeah, that was
Look,
my
I
experience.
said bland and neutral. Final Fantasy 13 is a dumpster fire. It's the opposite of neutral. It's bad.
That would be what I consider to be the worst bland and neutral, the most bland and neutral of the Final Fantasy games. If it's so bland and neutral that you had to uninstall it, then it's really, really bad.
I mean, it's not bland and neutral, though. It's just bad. It's outrightly bad.
It's okay. I give it that much.
No. You walk in a straight line. Your choices have no bearing on the game. Even your in-combat choices mean nothing because everybody just auto-attacks.
That's how some of the old Final Fantasies work. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't draw it out of you, Sid. What attracts you to this game? Is it the giant crystal sword type stuff? Is it the king thing? Like, is it Balthier? do you want to be Balthier? Because that's okay, because Balthier is like the best part of that game. He's like, I don't know.
Balthier is pretty cool.
I'm Jack Sparrow, but instead of being a drunken alcoholic, I just hang out with my best friend, who, I don't know, I might be dating, but maybe not. It's never really explained what our relationship is. I'm a sky pirate!
Look, Sky Pirates are great.
James, take us out of here. What do we got? Remind us what happened last episode.
Okay, no worries. So we start off with last time on Rogue Trader, the Last Scion. So we see once again a montage. We see Pierre handing a piece of silver power armor over at the auction at the Obsidian Emporium. We see the group standing before a large wooden door thick with foreboding. We watch as Pierre and Garth overhear the rumors that the rogue trader Janko Scourge was attacked by the Eldari shortly after leaving Footfall. A scene of the group meeting with the blind sage at Arsoloket in the bowels of Footfall. And then finally, Sister Miriam welcoming the group back to Pierre's estate with the line, "We need to talk." The camera goes to black and we see the words, "Thought for the day. The present changes the past from moment to moment. Pray for a future that vindicates your actions." And then we fade in on a star field deep in the void. Slowly, a large angular shape moves into frame, resolving itself into the shape of a Space Marine battle barge. Its hull is chased with silver embellishment, and a white stylized skull mask is painted on the side. Along the bottom of the screen, the words, "The Manifest Destiny, flagship of the Silver Skull's third company," appear. We cut to an interior shot of the void ship, a dimly lit, voluminous chamber, its walls lined with large oak bookshelves filled with a variety of illuminated tomes. What little light is in the room is provided by a handful of guttering candles and from the dull glow of an active hololith display table in the center of the room. The room's single occupant, an Astartes, sits at a nearby table, leafing through a large leather-bound book. He has eschewed his battle plate for a simple tan robe. The main door of the chamber opens, admitting a second Astartes. This one is clad in silver Mark 7 plate, his helmet tucked under his left arm and bearing the signals of a squad sergeant. The seated Astartes looks up from his work, but it is a newcomer that speaks first. "Brother Captain, our agents in Port Wander and Footfall have confirmed Pierre Cowles has arrived in the Koronus Expanse and will shortly be departing for the Regina system aboard the Grace of Sofa." "Very good, Sergeant Ereticus. Any change from the prognosticators?" "No, Captain. Just like with Angelique Cowles, they cannot divine what will happen beyond the point the rogue trader enters the Regina system. Something continues to obscure their sight." "Thank you for the update, Ereticus. Let us hope that young Cowles does not meet the same fate as his mother. We will have need of him later. The survival of our chapter may one day depend upon that man and his crew." "Brother Captain, if I may, if something on Regina threatens Cowles as it did his sire, should we not go along to ensure his safety?" "I'm afraid not, Sergeant. The signs were clear. Regina holds only tragedy and destruction for our chapter. Whatever Pierre Cowles will face there, he must do so alone." And then we cut back to the Cowles estate on Footfall, where I feel like the way this is cut, because we cut off with her saying we need to talk, is either the next scene is everyone either sitting down or weapons drawn. Which one is it?
I mean, my weapon is drawn. Hello, I'm Nero. And I say, sit down.
She sits down and indicates for others to do the same.
I'm going to calm bead Riani to join us.
Okay. Kios comes in also would like to hand out drinks.
Of course.
Keep those drinks virgin, Master Kiosk.
Very good, sir. Yes. Sister Miriam, are we waiting for the navigator to arrive before we begin?
Yes.
All right. So there's probably like 2 minutes of awkward silence before Riani comes in. And yes, you asked for me, Nero?
Sit down.
Okay. She sits
Nero,
down.
put away the bolter.
Yeah, I mean, look, I sit down, but I make sure that the bolter in my lap is pointed directly towards Miriam, and there is a hand near the trigger. Absolutely, Lord Captain.
That's not putting away the bolter.
He doesn't say anything or move.
Point the bolter away.
He slightly off centers it, so maybe it'll hit her arm instead.
Lord Captain, if it makes Nero feel better, I don't mind.
I do mind. It's a little bit rude and crude.
After everything that has happened in the last 24 hours, you believe that this is rude?
Yes. She had nothing to do with it.
Are you sure? Because we came here to talk to her, and that was because she had something to do with it.
That is how the events unfolded, as far as I recall. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for backing me up on the literal truth of what happened just minutes ago.
She is but merely a messenger of sorts.
Is she? She works for an inquisitor who tried to kill us. She's putting into motion plans that are years in the making.
Perhaps allow me to speak before you condemn me for these actions, Nero.
Yes, please.
Just to be clear, I have no problem with her speaking, but the bolter is not going anywhere.
As you may, can you surmise as to why we have come to you to ask questions?
I believe that you've been investigating a number of things and that my name may have come up in them. I had been asked to try and keep some of these things from your site as long as possible, but it seems that your investigation is turning over information that requires further explanation.
Yes.
Mind probe.
Okay, no worries.
Can I give
me
you a plus 10? Because apparently that's the thing.
Well, you can do the whole do it better thing, but that requires actually being able to read her mind better. You can't do covertly.
I want to ask about this because I have an ability called exceptional leader, but I'm pretty sure it's only for combat.
No, you can do it at any point in time. You can give on any action. You can give someone a plus 10 on their roll, provided you can actually inspire them through words or actions to do it better.
Well, then I'll let that pass because he could do it without my knowledge, and I don't.
Yeah,
I'm doing it without her knowledge too.
Yeah. Trying to. 21. So
I'll just keep that in mind for the future.
Hey, 2 degrees of success.
How did I do?
4 degrees of success. That's 2 degrees better.
So you can tell when you try to do this, Garth, that she actually has like psychic hardening. She's been trained to resist psychers, even subconsciously. Yeah, it's a very Inception moment.
I don't let anything show on my face except a slight hint of a smile, and I sip it like a Julius Caesar or whatever sort of god awful virgin beverages are being provided.
Yep, it's some sort of juice of you're not sure what.
Where's the tech priest with his alcohol when you need it?
Virgin mimosa.
It's just orange juice.
Lord Captain, your family has been involved with the Ordo Famulus for some time, as you probably already worked out. The area of the Ordo Famulus that I'm a part of is closely aligned with a faction within the Inquisition known as the Thorians. Are you familiar, Lord Captain, with the story of Sebastian Thor? So this is me as a player asking you if you want me to explain it further, for you / the audience.
How well I got common lore. Would that go within common lore Imperium?
It would be common lore Imperium, definitely. It'd be a plus 10 as well for the common lore Imperium.
Okay. I guess probably not, but we'll see. Oh, I guess very marginally.
So you know that Sebastian Thor is a saint, an imperial saint, and that he was once head of the ecclesiarchy. Thor came about during the time of the Age of Apostasy when Goj Van Dyer had led the Imperium into ruin. And it was by his hand it was actually by the hands of my order's founders that he was defeated. But they did so with the support of Thor, and Thor remade the Imperium after the horror of that time. Many viewed Thor as an exceptional individual above and beyond most humans, and thus he was canonized into sainthood following his death. There are some that go a bit further that see that the God Emperor of mankind still started life as a man and achieved everything we see around us through his greatness. And although he now lays interred in the Golden Throne, leading the Empire from within, there are some that believe that at some point in the future, the next great being will arrive. Whether that is the Emperor as we know him today reborn, or simply the next stage in humanity's evolution will arrive. And so the Thorians believe in that way of thinking, and in some of them even go so far as to try and engineer its outcome. So the Thorians have directed members of the Ordo Famulus to work selectively with certain bloodlines to try and breed in positive traits to mathematically increase the likelihood of the next Thor or even the next God Emperor.
Eugenics, essentially.
So it is. Your mother was a part of this. You are one of the results. She was always viewed as a strong candidate for genetic development, hence you and your siblings. Your two brothers were, the genetics that we read from them were deemed inappropriate for further development. Yours, as taken at your birth, seemed to indicate that you shared the same promise that your mother did. So there was talk within the Ordo Famulus as to whether your ascension in place of your mother should be, or in place of your brothers, should be engineered. This is something that was never actually acted upon, on behalf of the Ordo Famulus. But about 6 years ago, the Ordo Famulus were contacted by an Astartes chapter, the Silver Skulls. A librarian by the name of Julius came to us. The Silver Skulls are one of the few religious or one of the few Astartes chapters that worship the God Emperor as the god that he is. And also their combat doctrine is built around foresight and prognostication on behalf of their librarians. They look into the potential outcomes of a circumstance before they act. Usually this is restricted to the next battle or the next action that the chapter may take. But in this particular case, Viridius told us that there was great importance in your family line to the Silver Skulls chapter, that they had divined some future necessity that they required you for. The issue was that when they charted out your mother's path, as soon as it reached the world of Regina, their prognosticators could no longer divine what became of her. They simply couldn't read her path beyond that point. So they made plans to assist to bolster you should something happen to her that they couldn't foresee, and that they would then support you as the next Lord Captain, however that may come about. This is one of the reasons why the Ordo Famulus directed your mother not to take you aboard the Hand of Calixis with your brothers, because we needed to ensure that whatever might befall her would leave you unscathed at that point in time. But by the same token, their foresight now predicts that you will also go to Regina 4, and that they can no longer divine the outcomes of your arrival there. All they know is that your line is vastly important to their chapter, but they can't see beyond the next few days.
So you're saying that there is a possibility or probability that if Pierre Cowles goes to Regina 4, he, like his mother, will die?
It's a hard thing to read because, as I said, right now, the Cowles line goes to Pierre. If he were to die tomorrow, the next in line would be his maternal uncle. And that would be bad for all of us, because when I spoke about bad genetics, his maternal uncle is a fantastic example of very poor genetics, and effectively all the work that we'd put into this line up until this point would be lost.
I think Pierre's just nodding along. It's like, yeah.
Question.
Yes, sorry.
If you're so concerned about preserving his genetic line, why haven't you bothered to take genetic samples for preservation?
We did. That was the first thing I did when I met him.
Then what is your concern here?
The fact
I need
that
to bear a child.
Yeah,
Well,
until we have it, we can't guarantee the quality of an offspring until the offspring exists. So, and this is the thing, is that
if he were to perish, theoretically, you'd only be set back about, 20, 30 years tops? It's not
unless all the progeny we beget.
Strain in the grand scheme of things.
Unless all the progeny that we beget are in the same way deemed to be. It is a rare circumstance to have the quality we receive with both Angelique and Pierre Cowles in 2 generations. With that being said, the Silver Skulls still believe that Cowles, whether it be, well, in this case, Pierre or whoever else, will have a major impact on their chapter in coming days. So they believe that he will survive beyond Regina, but they believe the same of Angelique. The issue is that they cannot say for certain what will happen beyond the next few days. Something happened to Angelique Cowles on Regina, and they don't know what it is. Nor will they send forces to assist us.
Is there a way that I can perhaps get in contact with them in the future?
With the Silver Skulls? You mean?
Yes.
Oh, they've only ever contacted us. The Astartes are not beholden to the Ecclesiarchy or to the Ordo Famulus.
Or the Inquisition.
Sorry?
Or the Inquisition.
This is where it gets even more questionable. The Ordo Hereticus has investigated the Silver Skulls in the past. And while they haven't found signs of heresy, they have certainly found signs of cover-up. And there are real concerns about the fact that the Silver Skulls drive their entire combat doctrine on the use of prognostication, effectively warp play, in order to determine how they will act. There's fear in the Ordo Hereticus that they they're a time bomb within the Imperium. They've always proven to be loyal sons of the Emperor. So they're scions of Guilliman, a second founding chapter of the Ultramarines. But there are things about the Silver Skulls that give the Ordo Hereticus pause for question, and for that reason, the Ordo Hereticus attempted to establish strong connections. And I think once their reasons became obvious, the Silver Skulls have separated regular contact with the Inquisition above and beyond integration for particular actions.
Sounds wise.
If at all possible, after we obtain the Hand of Calixis, could you send word out that I would like to, if possible, if you can, if you can't, I understand. I would like to meet the Silver Skulls at some point in the future, if possible.
And Nero just turns to look at Garth. Like, this is... Nero's like, that's the guy who's going to do it, not this woman.
I mean, Nero's... I can see Nero look.
Purpose?
So just to be clear, Nero didn't say it out loud. He's just looking at Garth.
He can see, yeah, you're obvious. I can create the message. Your Astropath will need to send it.
Fair enough.
My question would be, to what end?
I just have more questions, is all.
Questions are easy. Answers, those are a bit more difficult. And I seriously doubt answers would be overly forthcoming.
Okay, old Ben. Do we need to get out to your shack on Tatooine to get this advice?
Garth, you do receive a vox ping from the Astropathic Choir on Footfall, letting you know that 2 messages have arrived for your crew.
Excuse me for a moment. The mail is here. I'll leave the room briefly and check the messages.
I'm just going to put them into Discord for you, Sid. So there'll be 2 separate messages.
While this is happening, Nero's going to look at everybody in the room and say, I need to speak privately with each of you at the adjournment of this meeting. You know how this goes. I don't need to speak with Garth, which is why I waited until he had left.
Miriam, who told you about the Vambrace and where it was being kept?
So I was informed about it before we came to Footfall from my order. They told me that the Silver Skulls had left something here for you that if you intended to attend the auction, you might require. And so I was told to inform the witch, or the Astropath, that you'd arrived on station when you did.
Very well. I really don't have many more questions for you because you've answered the ones I would have had.
Sorry, Nero, did that include talking to me privately, or?
Oh, yes. Yes. If you're not dead at the end of this meeting, I will need to speak with you.
She won't be dead at the end of this meeting, Nero.
I try not to predict the future. It's a little heretical.
I step
Well,
back.
I'm telling you, she won't be dead by the end of this meeting, nor after the meeting.
I step back into the room and say, my lord, there is a matter that requires your immediate attention. I believe we will need to get underway soon.
Saying to me?
Yeah.
Very well.
You're the only one who's going to call Lord in this room.
That's fair. I missed the Lord part. Sorry. Very well. I have no more further questions to ask, so I will copy down and send him a private. I'll send him a DM with the contents of the communication from Canicus Cromwell.
Would you like me to read it out then, so for the benefit of the audience?
Sure.
Okay, so the communication says, and it's actually addressed to Angelique Cowles. It says, "My most esteemed Lady Cowles, I write this letter to you once again to beg your aid, for I have seen no response to my last 4 communications. Your mining colony on Solitude is falling apart, and without your intervention, I'm afraid that our productivity has completely halted. The ungrateful serfs that toil in your mines have fallen out of reverence for your good personage. They no longer respect the authority placed in you by the God Emperor of mankind, nor the same authority you have placed in me as your agent on Solitude. The colonists are in open revolt and no longer undertake the divine duty that you have entrusted them with. They openly steal the tools and food that you have seen fit to give this colony, and the constabulary is overwhelmed. I request once again that you bring an armed force to Solitude to quell this insurrection and help me return order to this colony. I must remind you that no further ore shipments can be sent until these people either see reason or your own divine judgment. Your most humble servant, Canicus Cromwell IV, Lord Administrator of Solitude."
So that was originally sent to my mother?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
They don't know that it's changed hands. They don't know that she's dead.
Right.
Given the severity of that, I highly recommend that we divert to there.
We still need the Hand of Calixis first.
Yes, but we could pick up crew while we're there. Before we go, Lord Captain, and Nero is trying to contain a smile, it may take some time to prepare the crew and any armsmen that you might offer for any sort of justice that you intend to establish on Solitude. So I'd like the rules of engagement to be thought about carefully.
I will think about the rules of the engagement carefully.
I appreciate that, Lord Captain. As you know, I am a strong believer in the Emperor's judgment and in the civil service and order of Imperial citizens. As he says that, he's moving his hand into the trigger guard of the bolter.
Sometimes, Nero, the carrot comes before the stick.
And then he doesn't finish the sentence.
Garth, send a reply back saying the aid will be on the way shortly, as soon as possible.
So I imagine I'll have to go to where the Astropathic choir is on this planet to be able to send a reply.
I mean, they've effectively received this message and sent it to you via a communicator. So effectively, you could send it to them to send as well. If you wanted to send it yourself, like actually transmit it telepathically, yes, you would need the help of the choir to do that. But if you just want to send a message like this, you could just send it to them as a text, and they will then do the what fuckery required to send it.
I would prefer to undertake this personally.
Okay.
Trust
probably me. Probably the second message you received, by the way, would have been encrypted so that you had to actually decrypt the message from the other person, because so that way the choir wouldn't have understood it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to, when you do send the message back to Solitude, are you going to inform them of the change of hands of the warrant as well?
Yeah, yes, I will.
Okay. So I feel like the same awkward silence falls over the room until somebody says something.
Lord Captain, can I step into some other room and speak with you privately at this point?
Very well.
And then he just looks around and says, everybody is dismissed. Get out of here. Don't forget, I need to speak to you, Cyrax.
Lean backwards a little.
Fine, stay if you want to. I don't care.
Was I even here during this whole conversation?
You know, there's one thing you have to remember.
I think
take orders from him, not you. If you wish me to leave, I would appreciate it if you asked nicely.
That's
Garth,
reasonable.
I will speak privately with Nero.
No, it's fine. They can hear him.
No.
Okay, well then go proceed, Nero.
So Miriam and Chaos do leave, as does Riani.
Fine, it's just the four of us again. Perfect. All the people that were involved with it.
I didn't even know I was in here. If I would have fucking said something.
Well,
so
Captain,
I thought you came to everybody else. Where else would you be at this point in time? If you want to be somewhere else, I don't mind.
because I thought we like entered the house and she was waiting there for us.
I didn't. Just no one ever mentioned me, so I didn't even know I was here. It's fine. I know what I would have been doing. I have no idea, but
perhaps consuming the food and drink you've stored away inside your body cavities.
Look, I have stored drink, and for what purpose is of no concern of yours.
Lord Captain.
Yes.
I have been reflecting on the events that have just passed us, and I have come to a conclusion. I want you to think back on the horrifying vision that we have literally suffered through.
Yes.
At the end of that vision, I was struck by something that I didn't realize at the time, but I have now come to a conclusion. I do not know what bids happened in the auction, but I did see the people who came out one by one. I am sure that you could tell me that there were many huge, monetarily eclectic, unusual, and unique bids inside there. And yet, is it not curious that when we were standing in that room after the vision had passed, that we were surrounded only by rogue traders? This is a trap. This gem in space that they speak of, these chaos witches, this shit of a warp storm, it is a trap. It is poisoned bait meant to turn all of you against each other. Why else would only rogue traders be chosen? Why else would rogue traders already be planning to destroy each other in pursuit of it? This is heresy at every level, and I must strongly urge you to not play into their hands, because whatever it is, its value is only to heretics and those of chaos. Whatever you think it is not.
It isn't a trap, it is a trial.
It is a trap. It is a trap laid by chaos. It costs them nothing, and it takes from us everything. Loyal imperial citizens who are supposed to be doing the will of the emperor and laying down his justice and law are instead engaged in a contest, a deadly contest against each other, chasing down the spoils of chaos. This is poisoned bait. If you eat it, you will die. If you go after it, you will kill.
Nero.
You make a great deal of assumptions. You know.
There is no assuming. There is what has been laid before us.
Where is the proof? Where is the fact that this is in fact a work of chaos?
Here's what I believe the situation could be. It could not be more than just one thing. It could be several things. It could be a trap, like you said. It could be a trial, like how Garth said. It could also be a sign saying that there's a great fight ahead that we could be unified over. Whatever it may be and whatever it could be is something that we'll have to look into more than likely inevitably. There's some sort of path set ahead of us. Some by design, some by...
Seeing the future is heresy. Miriam just spoke on this exact subject, that the Inquisition was looking into the Silver Skulls. Everywhere I turn with this crew, there is heresy in every direction.
Nero. In this line of work, to obtain profit, you have to see within the lines of gray sometimes.
There is gray and there is chaos. I would caution you to learn where the line lies.
I would caution you for the same, Nero. The line is not always as distinct as you would attempt to make it out to be.
Have you fought chaos before, Lord Valance?
You speak to an astropath, someone who tampers with the dangers of
It is
the
one
world
thing
about
to
chaos.
speak of the warp. It is quite another to fight the children of it.
Regardless, sometimes we need to take chances in order to reach the profit that we desire. Risk for reward. It's just knowing when to not go much deeper. Nero, I'd like to be able to trust you. Know that you'll be there to be by my side despite what we go into or what happens.
Have I given you any reason at any point not to trust me? Everyone around you seems to have their own agenda, and yet I'm the one here attempting to keep you alive at every point.
Excuse me. You claim I have some form of agenda. Please, pray tell.
You say that you do not?
What agenda do you speak of?
Nero's just gonna stand up, shoulder his heavy bolter behind him. You say that you do not have an agenda, Master Valance.
I have one agenda and one agenda only. Pierre is my friend, has been for a very long time. He is a marked trader. He is my lord. And I will serve his wishes, and I will do my best to further his ends. That is my goal. And
where is the proof?
Maybe to drink his wine, you know.
That is all well and good, Master Valance, but I have yet to see it.
Really? You have yet to see me drink the wine? Well then, motion for a bottle.
I mean, yeah, Nero's gonna
your finest wine, please.
Nero's gonna toss him the bottle on the table and said, "What have I done, Lord Captain, that has made you distrust me? Have I in some way acted disloyally to you? Have I in some way showed you some manner of ineptitude?"
The fear I have is seeing how almost closed-minded you can be. I understand it's for great reason, but it ultimately will cause us to lose resources and connections that we could use in the future.
If I may, I would argue that Nero's mindset and outlook on such matters is not a trivial thing, and in fact is quite crucial. Because while we are more willing to deal with shades of gray, he offers a very valid and very important check and balance against the possibility of going too far.
I mean, Nero just says...
I would argue against dismissing his counsel outright, because he does have a very defined argument in these matters, and I think we would all be fools to ignore him.
At the end of this, Lord Captain,
he's not a stupid person.
I still need to be able to return to the Imperium. I do not have the protection of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I am not a lord, and I am not a rogue trader with a warrant. I am not a navigator, nor am I under the protection of the ecclesiarchy. I have a contract and a job. I also have a soul, and I would prefer that it does not turn to chaos before this is done.
So Cyrax is going to interpose himself between these two. He's going to pull out his knife and hold it up. A fine-bladed weapon. Too soft, and the steel will not hold an edge. Too hard, and it will shatter on first contact. The edge must be hard, but the spine must be soft. The perfect melding of the two turns it into a formidable weapon. We require both an open mind, yet the conviction to ignore the most corrupting of influences. You are both correct and both wrong.
I mean, Nero's patience level in paranoia is reaching the highest point. He heard Garth say something like, I feel like his input is useful, but he's trying not to consider that because he doesn't know he could trust Garth yet. So he's just like standing there vibrating with anxiousness and anger.
I'll turn to Garth. I understand your point about having an open mind. However, just as Nero, I too have fought the forces of chaos. I understand the corrupting influence. I'm going to turn back to Nero. I understand, obviously, the corrupting influence of chaos, how it worms its way into every fiber of someone's being. However, at the same time, our purpose here in this sector requires us to have requires us to have a flexible plan of action. We have to be able to adapt and overcome. Sometimes the end justifies the means.
As I have recently been reminded by our ecclesiarchy aide, doubt is a sign of weakness and the first step on the path to damnation. I do not doubt, Captain Cowles. If you find my service to be lacking in some way because of my conviction, I will find another crew. Until that time, I will not change in this regard. I am what the Emperor has forged me to be. Loyal. And then he's gonna leave because he's super mad.
So, did you want to go and see one of the others now? Room, for example? Or?
Yeah.
Actually, as he's walking out of the room, I get up and follow him.
I think there definitely needs to be a time period before he goes to see somebody else. I'd hate to accidentally kill Miriam.
So Garth is following.
Yep. Yeah.
Nero, one moment.
Lord Valance.
I would assume that you would want this message in private. You seem to rather enjoy speaking with people privately.
I do. And makes for good television.
Is the captain going to force you two to hug?
You did receive a response from Izarin.
Izarin, yes. Our navigator. Well, I suppose my navigator, your previous navigator. What does it say?
It is dangerous for both of us if I send you the information you want through this channel. I will arrange for the information to be left on the Hermitage in the location that Lady Cowles always used. If you do not know where that is, the Master of Whispers was still alive aboard the Hand of Calixis. Hand of Calixis, apologies. He knows. With this, our business is done. Don't contact me again.
That is a man that I will almost certainly contact again.
I thought as much.
but not until we speak to this Master of Whispers.
It is your thread. I'll leave you to tug on it. Just know that even if we might disagree, I will always handle your communiques with the utmost discretion and honesty.
I admire your professionalism, Garth, and I appreciate you standing up for me back there. You have earned some more measure of respect from me. Beyond what I have now taken to, since I have seen some of what you must deal with.
Just remember, the only objective, the only agenda that I have is to see my friend succeed. No more, no less.
So you say. There are many on this
crew.
crew.
Would stare at him, but I have.
Yeah. There are too many on this crew with their own agendas and not enough sense.
As long as those agendas are in lockstep with our own ends, there should be no issue.
That is the first step on the path to damnation.
So you say, but I disagree. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I go back to my glass of wine.
All right, I'm gonna pop my head into Rihanna's room and just be like, listen, I was trying to scare the crap out of you recently by intimidating you constantly because I thought it would be funny and you could use some toughening up. But after having looked into...
Good job then. Thank you very much, Nero.
No problem. After having recently looked into the warp with some chaosy bullshit, I apologize because that's some weird, fucked up shit. Sorry you have to deal with that. You are one of us.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to stop intentionally tormenting you.
Yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
I'll leave you to go see Miriam.
All right. For those of you that didn't go, so in the back of the main room, any other conversation need to be had between Pierre, Cyrax, or Garth before we do Nero and Miriam?
I'm just back in my customary chair near the fire, drinking a glass of wine.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything.
All right, you're good, Pierre.
I am indeed good.
Okay, no worries. So Nero, a short while later, you enter Miriam's chambers. She's busying herself about the chambers, but she obviously starts when you come in. Nero, please come in.
He's gonna sit down somewhere available, preferably on the starkest, most militant chair possible.
That was, I think, difficult for both of us. I apologize that it's taken so long to reach this point.
Why wouldn't you have told any of us this sooner?
Because I was instructed not to until the secret could no longer be held.
Okay, I'll buy that. I'm not here to discuss anything with you. I simply require Medicaid services. I checked my character sheet, and if you can remove even one hit point, I'll be able to heal during our voyage to the Hand of Calixis.
Okay, so she's going to have this conversation with you while she's doing a Medicaid as well. So
a doctor that talks to me? It's like a fucking hairdresser. Jesus. All right, Miriam. Yes, we could talk. I mean, you are removing void shrapnel from my guts, so...
Nero, I wanted to say something to you. Why is it not letting me roll her Medicaid skill? I had to roll it under...
Oh, boy. Yeah, wait for this to fail. I didn't even consider that you'd roll for it.
I'm gonna have to get
this is where Nero dies. He's gonna go ahead and roll 100.
Note to self: acquire Medicaid Mechadendrite.
I think Nero's gonna get Medicaid. So
cool. So she succeeded. So that is enough to. So you're heavily wounded, aren't you? So that gives you back 1 point.
Yes. So I dropped a 7, which means I have half, but not half plus 1, which is what I'm lightly wounded again. So with 24 hours of rest, I can remove all my wounds.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, so Nero's looking at something he ate being removed from him, and he goes, "Well, that was unpleasant."
Nero, I can see that there is some tension in the crew, not just because of what I've said, but other things as well. I wanted to simply empathize with you that most people in the Imperium have this view where there is this path between godliness and damnation, and they all believe that wherever they stand on that path, the line too far is somewhere in front of them. They always believe that there are steps that will bring them closer to damnation without stepping over. There's always an extra bridge they may take. Whereas people like you and I realize that any step beyond where we stand now is a step too far. That the line sits right at our toes, if not under our feet already. This is just a matter of thinking that the church instilled in me, that your past is instilled in you, that is not necessarily shared by your peers. They believe in the concept of stepping too far or stepping further for potential gain, for either gain for themselves or gain for the Imperium. You or I know that there's no such thing. However, what I will say is that I need you here with this crew, because I know that if the time comes that they have damned themselves, that you will not hesitate to take the action required.
So Nero is probably out of his armor for this. And
I'd say so.
He flexes his right arm, and on his bicep there's a massive scar there, and he says, "You know, Miriam, that years ago I heard a man preaching to me about the God Emperor on the battlefield, and I believed in him, and I followed him. And together, many of us came together, and, well, it's a long story, but the short order of it is he was a heretic, and he was perverting the Emperor's wisdom, and many of the people that I had thought were my friends had to die as a result, including this man. And as they were stabbing me, I just thought, what a waste of a human life, that the Emperor would give us this wisdom and people refuse it. But I want to remind you, Miriam, out of all of the people on the crew, I think would cross this line, out of the people of the crew that I distrust the most, out of the people in the crew who I have ranked probability-wise who will need to be shot, you are at the top of that list by such a wide margin that Garth doesn't have anything to worry about.
Well, at least you're being honest. So allow me to be honest with you as well, then, Nero.
Please, you have surgical implements inside my body.
You are not a man who will grow old with a family and live a life beyond war.
That's unfortunate. I was really hoping that I would get to that one day.
I predict, and this is not prognostication. This is simply my gut feeling, is that your end, when it comes, will be violent. I only hope that when it does come, you find yourself a martyr.
Really?
I think that you are the perfect example of the candle that burns twice as bright, burning half as long.
You know, Miriam, that's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me.
Well, as I said, all I can offer you right now is honesty. And removing this. What is this? What did you eat?
Well, and then he goes into, like we go off camera, but he's just like, yeah, let me tell you about this void burn winter scale creeper. I'm pretty sure that right there is part of the live Delorium throat crabs. That's one of its husks, you see.
See, this is a reason why Cyrax has the augers. It really gets those shell bits nice and macerated so you don't have these problems.
The scene fades out.
So the real question would be, what didn't he eat?
I mean, the thing that dealt all the damage to me was the
The
orc,
last two
right?
things.
Yeah, it was
What?
the Jerizal brain fluke.
Did you mistake a utensil for a piece of food?
I think Nero stopped doing that right at the time he was 13.
So you like that guy that eats the airplanes in the shopping carts?
Yep.
All right, so I think that the next major thing is going to be departing on the grace of Sofa. So, is there anything else that?
I would like to try to obtain the upgrade for Nero.
Oh, the
Okay.
Miyu weapons mount.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because apparently Art is being held hostage for it.
That is a way to look at it.
I would also like to seek out a Medicaid because I'm actually fucked up. So,
Garth, did you know that Miriam is actually pretty good at Medicaid? Look, she just bandaged up part of my torso. Look right here. See? It's right where my abs are.
Somewhere in the background, you just see Cyrax is reading like a Medicaid for Dummies PDF on his data slate. Like everyone should be concerned.
Oh no, he's got full Magos Biologist.
Because I've got space for after I get my my arm back, I got space for another two mechadendrites.
I would like to seek out a proper Medicaid.
She is really good. Like,
I would like to seek out a proper Medicaid.
listen, Garth, you know that I would love to murder her. Like,
A
really.
proper Medicaid.
Listen, on a scale of 1 to 70, I would say that she's a 69. I would say there's a very high probability that she's a very good. She could have been a hospitaller if she was hot.
A proper Medicaid.
All right, Garth. That's all I can do.
All right, Pono, I can see you've made a commerce test. Are you off shopping for an MIU weapon implant?
Yes.
Yes.
Because again,
Okay.
Art being held hostage.
Okay. Cool. So.
I don't want to reveal the art and then it take 10 episodes to actually get the thing that is the centerpiece of the art.
Okay, so we worked out before it was a base plus 10 because it's very rare for minus 20 plus 30 for being a single one. You've managed to get the plus 8 more there, so you are looking at a total of 57% chance.
No way, we could fail this 3 times in a row, right? That's how probability works.
No,
You jinxed it.
I was just shouting out all the Gambler Anonymous in the chat right there.
I don't think I showed it to you, AP. I sent Sid a link. I think it was yesterday or maybe Wednesday. I found a sword. It's called the Unlucky Bastard in 5e. If you roll a 1, it critically hits. If you roll a 20, it critically fails. I was like, you need this. You need this.
I need that. Yeah.
Well, no, it does extra D8 more if you critically.
Oh, does
hit.
it?
If you critically
Okay.
hit a 1, yeah.
Well, still, it's just funny. I was like, this is. I could not mention it to Sid. It's just too perfect.
Well, while it's attuned, you don't score critical hits anymore. If you use the sword and get a critical natural 1, you do.
Oh, it just does extra damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do
Well, whatever,
3d8
but-
instead of 2d8 for the longsword and yada yada yada. But yeah, no, that's a failure.
Yeah, it's a Sid.
That was the only thing I wanted to try, and I don't know if anybody else wants anything.
Well, I've technically got.
You got
The arm.
yours, but
You just have
it'll
to
take
wait.
a while.
That's fine.
So Nero is on the golf cart waiting at the shuttle to the Grace of Sofa, sorry.
I was going to go get checked out by a Medicaid and fix it.
Okay, no worries. So how injured are you, Sid?
I mean,
I'm at a total of 4 out of 11.
Okay, so you're heavily wounded. Okay.
Have a surgeon.
How'd you get that wounded? You haven't had a combat in a while.
He
I
ate the
can't
same
do
stuff.
Bad
Never.
things.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that stuff.
you find a Medicaid which heals you for 1 point.
I want to point out that
So I'm at a
Miriam had a
5
higher
out of
Medicaid
11.
skill.
Damn.
Um,
For the record, AP, there's 2 things in my art that I currently do not have.
Yoinks.
Here.
before you go to leave, Sister Miriam does also approach Pierre.
Okay.
Lord Captain, a moment, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Kill Nero immediately.
First, just bring it.
I wanted to ask you something. So once you reach your ship and you begin your escapades in the Expanse, have you considered how you will exert your will on those that resist? If you find colonies that are not compliant, if you find rebellion within your own ranks.
Oh, it's weird how Miriam and Nero are on the same page.
I mean, Nero seems very capable, but he is one man. I'm not sure. Have you considered that you may require a slightly larger armed force?
Yes. I know that talk can only get you so far, and then other than that, then you have to use an iron fist in order to fully, occasionally get what you need. But
note to self: talk to captain about gun servitors.
So I don't have the solution for you. I simply wanted to put that thought in your mind to start considering. You will at some point find yourself in a conflict that you can't win with words or lance batteries.
If I need to hire mercenaries, I would hope to do so somewhere that be less shady.
Very good.
I have a feeling that this isn't the most reliable place for mercenaries.
I'm just imagining Nero as the heavy. So they can outsmart me. Maybe. But they are not man who can outsmart bullet.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that your warrant of authority does allow you to press other imperial services into your service too. Although by doing so, you diminish their. I mean, you could go to an imperial world and claim PDF troopers. You diminish the world's defense, but it is within your authority to do that.
I'm sure you could also make deals with them to, get them to give you guys for something, whatever. You don't necessarily have to press
temporary service.
Oh yeah, you give them some, some whatever thing, or they, contact or something, and they're like, yeah, but give me like, I don't know, 100 dudes for, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I do know. First, I'd like to see what my condition of my new ship would be in.
Okay. So later on that day, everybody arrives at the Longshore for the shuttle back to the Grace of Sofa. Charlotte doesn't meet you there. She has one of her crew come to escort you. She's already on the ship, getting it ready to go once again. So this is, I think everyone's going now. Are you still taking Chaos as well with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be amiss if Chaos didn't come.
Okay, no worries.
And I wouldn't want to leave him here.
Okay. Once you board the Grace of Sofa, Charlotte comes to greet you. Welcome back aboard, Lord Captain. I take it that you've recovered well from that rather horrific experience we went through the other night?
Yes.
Good. Let us never speak of that again.
Sure.
Now, I once again would like to beg your indulgence to have one of your crew engage in the ritual, since we are doing this to head to Regina, which is your system. If one of your crew would participate in the Navigator's ritual once again to chart the path.
I will volunteer for this time.
Nero looks shocked, like, what? Because if you remember, Garth is the one who volunteered Nero last time. Nero's going to turn, and he's going to look very concerned, and he's going to say, Lord Valance, are you feeling okay? You're aware that you're not allowed to socialize with people during this period.
Yeah, give me more time to be able to read and drink wine in my quarters now, wouldn't it?
Priorities.
Nero's going to check his forehead and make sure his temperature's good. All right, it checks out, Lord Captain. I believe he is in his right mind.
Yes, I believe he wanted to see if it was safe before he went.
That's
That was my
reasonable.
intention, yes.
I am very healthy, and I have survived far worse things.
Indeed. That's
Okay.
surely a
You,
nice, healthy man like you. If something bad happened to you, then he would be surely in a much worse state.
Yes, I have more fate points than him, so yes, I would survive longer than all of you.
You mean
How many fate
wounds?
points do you have?
5.
Oh. Well, then.
Fate point lets you avoid, you burn it to avoid death, so what I'm saying is Nero will outlive all of you.
I'm just conventionally tough.
All right, so Garth, you're directed to the elevator, which takes you up to the chamber where you have to wait for the navigators at that small sunken lounge. After you've been there a couple of minutes, the door opens up. Out come the navigators. Out comes the strange little pale skinned man. This time he is wheeling a, those sort of like tubular bells that you hang from like a steel frame, so you can, and they're each one's different lengths. He's sort of got one of those. He sort of wheels in and then carefully sort of manhandles down the steps onto the floor in front of you. And he has like a little stick which then plings along the bells. Where do you wish to go?
Out of character, where the hell is it we were traveling?
We are
The Regina
traveling
system.
to the Regina 4 system in orbit over the planet Landfall.
Regina 4.
Why do you wish to go there?
To further the ends of my lord.
He looks at the others. They exchange glances, and he turns back to you. Why do you wish to go there?
I heard the wine cellar on the Hand of Calixis is second to none.
I seek to further my own knowledge and experience.
He looks at the others. They nod. He then points towards the hookah on the ground. Please partake.
Oh, I draw deep.
So you and the navigators smoke it up a bit, and then finally the navigators leave. He pushes this bell thing right over to you and prings it right in front of your face before picking it up and carrying it out of the room. And you're free to return to the deck, where the rest of the crew will avoid you like the plague for the remainder of the trip.
Yeah, I'll just return to my quarters.
I was going to say, I don't avoid them because I don't give a shit.
Yep. I have more things to do on this ship, but I think we should do it after a break.
Yes, and Nero still needs to talk to Cyrax about that weird shit he said last week,
Oh, which
was
shit?
technically yesterday.
I was going to say, which weird shit? I had to sit there and think. I'm like,
It's all weird
which-
shit.
Yeah, it's all weird shit. It's all
It's the weird
techno-fuckery.
shit that triggered his murder alarm is the one. Oh yeah, I'm not paranoid anymore. Well, I'm not madness paranoid anymore. I'm just, regularly
Normal paranoid.
Yeah,
just
just-
your look. Paranoia is justified if there is shit out there to get us. So,
I mean, I love that the first half of the episode was Nero, you're paranoid and crazy, you jump at ghosts. And the second half of the episode was, you're right, Nero. They think you're crazy, but you're right. We'll be back in the second half for, more of the Nero show. We'll be back in the second half for more Heresy. 100%.
Nero and friends.
Guarantee it's going to happen.
It's not heresy.
Listen, there's Heresy all
not
over the
Heresy.
place up in here.
check the box. It says 4th degree interdimensional warp.